Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting to order at 7:01 p.m. Welcome to the June 9th, 2025 City of Burlingame Planning Commission meeting. For all in attendance, please note that this Planning Commission meeting is being held in person and using the Zoom webinar format. Please note that we are not accepting remote public comment during commission meetings. Agenda item number 2, roll call. The record should note that 4 members of the commission are present this evening. Commissioners Shore and Say are absent. Agenda item number 3, request for AB 2249 remote participation. There are no commissioners participating remotely. Agenda item 4, review of agenda. Staff, are there any changes to the agenda?
There are no changes to the agenda, and I would note that we received 2 public comment emails for item 8C, 121 Pepper Avenue. Those were emailed to you, and you also have hard copies on your desks.
Thank you. Do we have any recusals?
Yes, I'll be recusing from Bernal, as I live within 500 feet.
Thank you. Agenda item number 5, public comments, non-agenda. Members of the public may speak about any item not on the agenda. Members of the public wishing to suggest an item for a future Planning Commission agenda may do so during the public comment period. The Ralph Brown Act, the state local agency open meeting law, prohibits the Planning Commission from acting on any matter that is not on the agenda. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes each. Do we have any members of the public attending in person who wish to speak on any item that is not on our agenda? Did we receive any public comment email?
We did not.
Seeing none, we'll move on to the next item. Agenda item number 6, consent calendar. Items on the consent calendar are considered to be routine. They are acted on simultaneously unless separate discussion and/or action is requested by the applicant, a member of the public, or a commissioner prior to the time the commission votes on the motion to adopt. This evening, we have 2 items on the consent calendar. Item 6A, approval of the May 27th, 2025 Planning Commission meeting minutes. Item 6B, 709 Howard Avenue. Would any member of the public or Planning Commission like to pull this item for discussion? Let the record note that Commissioner Say is now present. Commissioners, any comments on the consent calendar? Any motions?
I'll make a motion that we approve the consent calendar.
Second that.
We have a motion by Commissioner Schmidt, a second by Commissioner Lowenthal. Any discussion on the motion? May we please have a roll call vote?
Commissioner Lowenthal.
Aye.
Commissioner Pfaff.
Aye.
Commissioner Schmidt.
Aye.
Acting Vice Chair Say.
Aye.
Chair Horan.
Aye. The motion passes 5-0-0-1. Agenda item number 7, action items. There are no action items for review this evening. Agenda item number 8, study session. Item 8A, 1556 Bernal Avenue. Commissioner Schmidt is recusing for this item. Were any commissioners not able to visit the project site, or do any commissioners wish to note any ex parte communications regarding this project? Let the record note that all commissioners present have visited the project site. Can we hear the staff report, please?
This application is for major design review, hillside area construction permit, and special permit for second floor balcony for a first and second story addition to an existing single unit dwelling, excuse me, in the R1 zoning district. The applicant proposes interior remodeling and a first and second story addition with an attached accessory dwelling unit. The total proposed floor area would be 3,705 square feet, where 4,062 square feet is the maximum allowed, including 44 square foot front porch and a 378 square foot ADU exemption. The applicant is requesting a special permit for the proposed 58 square feet second floor uncovered balcony at the rear of the house. A special permit is required for any second floor balcony where 75 square feet is the maximum allowed. With the proposed project, the number of bedrooms would increase from 4 to 5. Currently, the site has 2 covered parking spaces within the attached garage and 1 covered space in the carport located at the rear of the house. The attached garage would remain, but the project includes demolition of the carport. 3 parking spaces, 2 of which must be covered, are required on site. While the parking requirement is increasing with the added bedroom count, per AB 1308, if a single unit dwelling is being remodeled, renovated, or expanded, local agencies cannot impose higher parking minimums as a condition of approval as long as the project does not exceed maximum size limits, including but not limited to height, lot coverage, and FAR. Because the proposed project does not exceed maximum size limits, the project is found to be in compliance with parking regulations as set forth in AB 1308 and a parking variance. No additional parking is required. This concludes the staff report for 1556 Bernal. I'm available to answer any questions you may have for staff.
Any questions for staff? None? I'm going to open the public hearing. Would the applicant please come forward, state your name, and anything else you would like to add about your project?
Should I stand?
Yes, please.
Hey, my name is Jason. I represent the owner of this property. Although I think I think we have our designer team that's online. I think most of the specific planning related questions they would be the ones to answer. But I think the Ms. Ali has stated the basic fact about the project, and we're ready to answer questions.
Do we have any questions for the applicant?
Yes, I do. On your Stackstone, let's see, that's south elevation rendering, or the south,
Okay.
yes. You turn the corner, yeah. You turn the corner with your applied stone, right?
Do we have, oh, yes.
Right?
Okay, yes.
So then I was just curious, what happens at the bottom when you're at the ground level? Is there some kind of does it go just right down into the dirt, or is there some band or something?
It just, again, I'm not the designer, but my personal experience and knowledge is that there should be some type of sort of gathering mechanism, just like, for example, I had a lot of experience with wood veneer and those plastic wood veneer. They actually have special molding for different places where you need to make a ending of the surface. So I'm assuming that the material that our designer chose, there should be some type of technical requirement in terms of how to finish a surface.
Right, but this is not a band that goes, no.
No, I don't. Yeah, I wouldn't think so. Yeah, I would say that it should. I think it's required to have a portion of the foundation exposed, right? If I'm correct.
Well, that's what I was wondering about. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I think those requirements would still be complied with, but we would try to make the transition, kind of seamless. There will be, of course, a straight line, but I wouldn't imagine there would be some type of band, because that would be redundant in terms of how it looks.
Okay, and the second question I had was the detail on your, there are a lot of windows, and a lot of different sizes, and so do you have some kind of detailing as like to just some kind of depth, actually, because this could, a lot of aesthetics going to be provided by, your treatment around the windows and the windows themselves. So I was just curious what.
Are you referring to like the some sort of casing around the window?
Yeah, casing, or I don't know what the terms are, but just so that it's not flat and.
Yes. So I guess clearly our designer team, they're pursuing this a little bit more modernish design. So I guess unless it's suggested or required by the committee, I think this type of modern I don't know, like a minimalistic, if that's the right word, window. Well, let me try to rephrase. I think the current look that you see on the rendering without casing is what they would hope to achieve if it's approved. But if for other reasons, like more, if the commission require us to sort of look similar to neighbors. If that is a requirement, we can make adjustment to those. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Just one clarifying question. It's a mixture of comp shingle and standing seam metal roof. Is that correct?
I believe so, yes.
Just a question on the south elevation rendering versus the elevation. It appears that one of the step back wings to the far left is missing from the render.
South one. This would be the
The lower left
lower left here.
stucco.
Okay. Oh, yeah, I think that, that might just, it's like an error that they probably didn't, they updated the rendering, but didn't update the, my understanding is that they probably,
That's okay. It
Right.
helps resolve how the stucco on the west elevation works.
sure.
I didn't know how the stack stone would.
Yeah, I
not
actually
map.
noticed that now. I'm not sure if it's an angle differences, because it looks like from the west elevation, looks like there is a section that's, up,
Correct.
to the outside of the stone section, but on the south elevation, I don't see that. Maybe it's like a smaller section that's toward the back, and the angle where they chose for the south elevation didn't show that. But yeah, I'd say, the elevation, drawing should be more accurate. Yeah, I would assume that's the case.
Thank you.
Right.
Anything?
A couple of, yeah, a
Yes.
couple of clarifications also. Let's see, it could be just the perspective on the rendering. Is the portico roof over the front door smaller in the elevation than what's shown in the rendering?
Let's see,
Rendering appears to be bigger, thicker.
proposed. And I think they're similar. Again, by the way, I think I'm answering much more than I anticipated, because by the way, my designer teams are online. They can jump in at any time. Yeah, I think
Would you like
it is.
to? They just need to raise their hands, so.
Okay, yeah, team, if you're listening, if you need, you can raise your hand. Boom. But I'm actually looking at this one. I think it's similar, because there's a side, there are, basic two side again, just please excuse my non-professional terms on different things, but I think there are like two sections on both sides of the door. So it's not like a very wide door, if that makes sense. So again, just based on what I'm seeing, this is the same from the rendering.
Let's see from maybe the rendering, we can zoom in a little. It seems like the fascia around the the one on the rendering
Mhm.
taller than,
Okay.
it looks like maybe just a gutter surround on the elevation.
Right.
Whereas in the rendering, it has a fascia. I kind of like the look in the rendering more,
Uh-huh.
a little bit more, a stronger presence for
Okay.
the front door
Yes.
approach. That's
Right.
why I'm asking that question.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Well, what, I think my team should make the note, and again, if there are discrepancies between different plans, there might be smaller errors, but if that's the preference of the committee, then we'll definitely make sure that we use the the version on the rendering as the final version, if that's the suggestion.
Sure.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. And I can talk about that later during comments too. And then one question, was there any, do you think there's an opportunity to align the two windows upstairs in bedrooms? Let me see. Upstairs, above the dining room and, oh, I think it's the windows in bedroom 4, if they
Okay.
can align over the windows in the dining room.
Bedroom 4. Take a look.
So this is on the front elevation,
Mm.
to the left of the garage door. Two windows. It seems on plan like there's an opportunity to do that, and with the front elevation, it would Seems like it would be a nice alignment, have those windows stacked on top of each other.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I noticed that. Yes, well, let me see. Unless it's to the outside of, oh, okay. I actually see a closet there. That's probably, again, I'm guessing. By the way, my team, if please raise your hand so that you can jump into the conversation at any time. But anyway, yeah, I'm looking at actually the floor plan. There is a closet to the right of the W21. So maybe that is the reason that that one is closer to the one to the left on the second floor. But let me see on the first floor, maybe that can be moved. Okay, yeah, on the first floor, those two windows are centered for the dining area, and probably that's why they are there. But you know, of course, we take your suggestion very very seriously. So if, you know, we have to make a trade-off if we want to make sure that the elevation, you know, look more aligned, I believe so. Yeah, I think we can make some adjustment to the second floor. So, you know, maybe move the closet a little bit just to compensate the window position so that, you know, they would align. Because, you know, I thank you for the suggestion. Actually, I can tell that that is something that's noticeable. So, you know, I think we're open to make changes to accommodate that.
Okay, thank you. It was a minor comment, but the closet could either go to the other wall of the bedroom, the other two walls that are non-windowed, one other, I guess, or
Yep.
the bathroom looks like there's a little space between the vanity and the
Yes.
wall. But anyway, it looks like there's a little opportunity there. I think it would improve the front elevation a little bit too.
Yep. Yeah,
With
thank you.
The other side, it probably wouldn't matter as much, but this being the street-facing side.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you.
I just had one more question about the eave detail. Are they intended to not be equal around the second
Yeah.
story?
Thank you for mentioning that. Oh, we actually got the comment from the planner, and we have actually made adjustment. You know, of course, in our next submission, all existing eaves are 10-inch, and all new eaves will be adjusted to make sure that they're also 10-inch. So, you know, eventually they're going to be all the same, except for, I think, my note here shows, I think it's except for the balcony, I believe, where it's gonna be 4 feet and 8-inch because of, you know, of course, the balcony. But other than like everything else existing and proposed would all be 10-inch. So they would be the same depths.
Okay, the only question then would be the bay window, the new bay window that's on the proposed south elevation. It shows it at 18-inch protrusion. So
Okay.
either that needs to be adjusted or the eave would need to be elongated. So it's just maybe for the next go around, have a little bit more specificity to what the eave is and especially that bay window and how it interacts with the eave.
Okay. Yeah. We'll make notes and we'll make adjustment accordingly.
Any other questions? Do we have any members of the public attending in person who wish to speak on this item? Please note that speakers are limited to 3 minutes each. Okay, I'll close the public hearing. Commissioners, comments?
I can go first. I like the house. I like the spirit of a renovation, bringing it modern. I think there are some missing details on these elevations and renderings, which I think we can get cleaned up. Most notably, you know, the eaves, some of the missing details, as my fellow commissioners mentioned. But I think we're going in the right direction. I would note to the applicant to make sure that their lighting details on some of the sconces meet the Burlingame requirements. More detail is always better, and investing in a good rendering is always better. But I could see this moving on to action.
No, well, I was just going to say, I would love to see more window. I think on this house, it's going to make a lot of difference because there's large expanses with not any activity. And
Mhm.
it would be really nice to see some depth or something shown in the window treatment. So
Yes. Yeah. We'll, you know, yeah, as I said, you know, we'll take every advice from you guys very seriously and we'll consider making
Oh,
changes.
sorry, this is, yeah, the public hearing's closed.
Oh,
You can sit down.
Sorry, you
me?
you can.
Oh, okay. All right.
Thank you.
I think Audrey had something else.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah, I was gonna glom on to my fellow commissioners' comments that I think this is a nice design. It's definitely moving in the right direction. I like the even though we really don't comment on color, I do like the idea of the stucco being presented in two different colors to enhance the kind of low-lying level alignment of the house. Like an expanded kind of ranch-style home. I think it's befitting in that neighborhood. And I think the finishes appear to be tastefully selected. The combination even of the composition roof with the standing seam metal roof are working hand in hand together. I would just maybe clarify for the next round just how that front portico roof is detailed, ensure that it looks either more like the rendering or if it's really intended to look like what we see in the elevation, that the rendering reflects that accurately. I think the alignment of the windows of the second story over those in the first floor next to the garage would be nice. I do appreciate that the decorative lights are shown or at least pre-selected at this point, and they look like they're opaque up and down cast lights at this time, which are appropriate for our lighting ordinance. Yeah, otherwise I can see this moving along.
Yeah, I agree with my fellow commissioners. I think it's a big improvement from the existing house. I know it well. It's good that you're saving it and renovating it to this degree. The only part of the house I don't particularly like are the two blank walls at the back of the two bedrooms on that north elevation. I think that could be treated with landscaping, but that is visible from the street, so that would be something to look at. No. Okay. Do we have any motions?
No, I was going to say, I'll make a motion per the staff report and a finding for the special permit for the second floor balcony to move this on to action.
Not second that.
And we want to note the
A summary of the direction to the applicant, yes.
Yes, so including the north elevation rear bedroom wall detail to spruce that up, a better window detail, a better portico detail, and cleaning up some of the renderings versus the elevations, including the eaves and the bay window at the top.
The alignment of the windows of the second floor over the.
And the alignment of the windows of the second floor. Perfect.
Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Lowenthal. Do we have a second?
Second.
And a second from Commissioner Pfaff. Any discussion on the motion? May we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Lowenthal,
Aye.
Commissioner Pfaff,
Aye.
Acting Vice Chair Say,
Aye.
and Chair Huron.
Aye. Motion passes 4-0-1-1. This action is not appealable. There's John. Okay, the next item is item 8B, 1113 Cambridge Road. Were any commissioners not able to visit the project site, or do any commissioners wish to note any ex parte communications regarding this project? Let the record note that all commissioners present have visited the project site. Can we hear the staff report, please?
This application is for major design review for a first and second story addition to an existing single-unit dwelling in the R1 zoning district. The subject property is an interior lot with an existing one-story single-unit dwelling and an attached garage. The proposed project includes a first floor addition and new second story. The proposed floor area would be 3,188 square feet, where 3,258 square feet is the maximum allowed. It includes an ADU and covered porch exemption. With this application, the number of bedrooms in the dwelling would increase from 2 to 4, 2 parking spaces, one of which must be covered. One covered parking space is provided in the attached garage, and one uncovered space is provided in the driveway. Therefore, the project complies with off-street parking requirements. This project includes a new 353 square foot detached accessory dwelling unit in the rear yard. Per state law, review of the ADU is administrative only and is not reviewed by the Planning Commission. Staff has determined that the ADU complies with ADU regulations. This concludes the staff report for 1113 Cambridge Road. I'm available to answer any questions you may have for staff.
Thank you. Any questions for staff? Nope. I'm going to open the public hearing. Would the applicant please come forward and state your name and anything else you would like to add about your project?
Good evening, Commissioners. I'm Blake Evans with Martin Coping Mifflin Architects. Thank you for the opportunity to introduce this project to you. The proposal at 1113 Cambridge Road is a thoughtful renovation and vertical addition to an existing single-family home designed to meet the needs of a growing local family of 5 while respecting the character and scale of the surrounding neighborhood. The project scope includes an interior remodel of the existing ground floor and a new second-story addition that will expand the main residence from 2 to 4 bedrooms, as staff alluded to. It also includes the construction of a modest attached accessory dwelling unit in the rear yard while creating a more usable rear yard open space and preserving the large welcoming front yard. Importantly, the design maintains the existing first floor plate height at the fronts and sides, existing walls, allowing the new second level to sit comfortably atop the existing structure. This approach maintains the setbacks from the street and the side yards, ensuring the addition complements the streetscape and the neighboring homes without appearing overbearing. The addition is scaled to align with the rhythm of the other 2-story residences on the block and articulates the existing Rambler ranch style with new modest farmhouse elements. The architectural detailing materials and roof lines have been carefully considered to blend seamlessly with the surrounding context and highlights the primary entry of the home with a raised gable porch entry. This vertical approach allows the family to increase living space while minimizing the project's footprint, preserving the generous setbacks and landscaping of the existing property. Ultimately, this proposal represents a balanced and context-sensitive expansion and supports the needs of the family. We want to thank you for consideration of this project and happy to answer any questions you should have.
Thank you. Any questions for the applicant?
Of course.
I do. So I'm sort of a balanced, symmetrical person, and when I was looking at this, though it is in the back, it caught my eye that the trellis and well, first of all, trellis is almost secondary, but you have not, and maybe there's a reason, centered the whole door complex of doors and windows in the back that go onto the porch. They're not centered under the gable. Everything is sort of shifted to the right. And that may have something to do with something that's inside, but I was wondering if there was a particular reason, because it's sort of all shifted to the right and it's not, there's no commonality that I can see. There's not anything that they're lining up with.
Okay. Thank you for the question. Yeah, the idea was trying to center underneath the gable there at the rear. That is where the dining room is proposed at the back. We originally designed the trellis to go over the entire rear of the back wall of the house. However, we were reaching the limits of our FAR on the lot. And so with that being too large, we wanted to pull it back a little bit while creating some type of covered space for the family right off of the dining room there. So I appreciate the question, but that's essentially, with the revision, we kind of.
So if we take the trellis out of the conversation, I guess I'm mainly talking about the whole complex of doors. So the way I'm seeing it, unless it's not, maybe it's only on the rendering, but there's sort of a French door thing and then there's side lights. But if they're lined up, if they'd be lined up with the gable as you were explaining, they would be
A little bit
a
further.
couple feet to the left.
Yep.
I'm guessing, and that's why I was asking.
Okay.
So even well, we're not into comments yet, idea, but it's like it's a little bugaboo. That's
No, it's a great feedback, and I think that's worth exploring. I think due to the interior layout that we have for some of the cabinetry on the inside, it's kind of created that tension point with the windows and the side lights. So I understand the kind of centering over the gable, but apologize, I misunderstood your question at the beginning.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah, it looks like the front porch has a painted wood paneling that kind of encompasses the,
Interior.
yeah.
Yeah.
What's the thought process there?
We wanted to give it a little bit of differentiation from the rest of the house materiality, which is a tongue and groove siding. So we wanted to create more of a smoother surface on the interior of the porch to kind of differentiate from the rest of the house. So we were doing painted wood paneling, which is also being used on the, if you're looking at the renderings, around the arched opening as well and the columns with some battens to create some detailing as well. So
And what was the thought of dyeing the tongue and groove into that wood paneling in the corner?
we're going to turn the tongue and groove into the face and dye that there, and then we'll use vertical trim to basically terminate that, just like we're doing on the corners of the houses as well.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions for the applicant? Do we have any members of the public attending in person who wish to speak on this item? Please note that speakers are limited to 3 minutes each. Please come up.
Just a real quick comment. I live on the street. I love the design. I don't know these people. I'm not speaking up for them. I just met them actually the other day. But it's a beautiful design. It fits the design of the neighborhood, and we like to keep it that way in that neighborhood, as everyone here knows. So, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to close the public hearing. Commissioners, comments?
All right, I'm going to start.
Go.
I really like this house. That's why I'd love to fix the back. But anyway, that's their business. But I was just, if it were mine, I guess I would have probably shortened, taken one of those lights out, changed the configuration of the doors so it could really be centered on the gable. And well, that's my comment. And also, if there were, there's a way to center the your trellis more, and it would be to not have the stairs. We've had that at my own house, the stairs running around, which creates some problems of its own. But I suppose it's possible then to just have the stairs coming out to the back and just straight out through the back, and then have like a little rail or something like that. So the stairs weren't running down the side of the other side of the house. So it's just a little thing, and I'm not going to hang it up for that, but the house is really beautifully done. And I just was trying to fix that back. So anyway, but I think it's nicely done.
Commissioner Say?
Yeah, I agree with Commissioner Pfaff, and very nicely designed house. I think it's very tasteful, fits into the neighborhood very nicely. And I think there's a couple of easy solutions to address two things that I see. I didn't bring it up as a question. I think it's really more of a comment. One is the 4 windows to the right of the front door, living room. It looks like there's space to center those. Oh, I think it's over a hallway. Maybe there's a hallway right there behind those 4 windows. It appears that there's wall space to center those windows between kind of the 2 columns by the front portico and then the one to the right. I think that could improve the front elevation a little bit. Just like there's some intention with the location of those windows by centering them there. And then on the rear elevation, I see the window that's above this asymmetrically arranged gable roof over the French doors it's at the bathtub, I believe, in the primary bathroom.
Mhm.
So that could benefit maybe from a little bit of a shorter or taller sill height. And if they then center the gable over those French doors below and raise that sill height a bit in that kind of more private part of the bathroom, that could probably solve the issue.
You're so smart.
I would second that because
Yeah.
I actually don't like low sill windows at the bathtub. So it's an easy fix
Mhm. For a
and
lot
you won't even miss the 6 inches of sill.
Mhm.
Right, you'll feel better in that tub.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, otherwise I think it's a nicely designed home and very thoughtful and, yeah, I'd like to see this move forward.
I agree with my fellow commissioners. I think it's a lovely design. I agree with their comments and could see it moving on to consent. I'd like to make a motion,
Go for it.
project onto consent as per the staff report.
With the porch windows.
With the porch windows centered
Rear roof.
and the rear roof alteration and with the recommendation by Commissioner Say.
Did you mention the front ones?
Yeah, the front,
Okay.
entering the front hallway windows into the portico and the columns. Portico column in the right column.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, great. We have a motion by Commissioner Lowenthal, a second by Commissioner Say. Any discussion on the motion? May we please have a roll call vote?
Commissioner Lowenthal,
Aye.
Commissioner Pfaff,
Aye.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Aye.
Acting Vice Chair Say,
Aye.
Chair Huron.
Aye. The motion passes 4001. This action is not appealable.
Oh, 5-0.
5001. Thank you. I'll get that right. Item 8C, 121 Pepper Avenue. Were any commissioners not able to visit the project site, or do any commissioners wish to note any ex parte communications regarding this project?
Yes, I had a brief conversation with the homeowner at 310 Pepper.
Oh, same.
Okay. Thank you. Let the record note that all commissioners present have visited the project site. Can we hear the staff report, please?
This application is for major design review and special permits for plate height and attached garage for a new one-story single-unit dwelling and attached garage. The subject property is an interior lot and currently contains a two-story single-unit dwelling and detached two-car garage and attached pool house. The applicant proposes demolishing all existing structures on the site and building a new one-story single-unit dwelling with an attached two-car garage. The total proposed floor area would be 8,895 square feet, where 11,526 square feet is a maximum allowed. That includes a 792 square foot ADU exemption. The applicant is requesting a special permit for first floor plate height of 10 feet on the outer portions of the dwelling and 15 feet for the middle portion, where 9 feet is a maximum allowed. A special permit is also requested to construct a new attached garage. The proposed dwelling contains 6 bedrooms, 3 parking spaces, 2 of which must be covered are required on site. The attached garage provides 2 covered parking spaces and 1 uncovered parking space is provided in the driveway. The proposed project is in compliance with off-street parking requirements. The project includes a new 792 square foot attached accessory dwelling unit on the first floor of the dwelling. Per state law, review of the ADU is administrative only and is not reviewed by the Planning Commission. Staff has determined the ADU complies with ADU regulations. This concludes the staff report for 121 Pepper Avenue. I'm available to answer any questions you may have for staff.
Any questions for staff?
Yes.
Go for it.
With the FAR calculations, I wasn't clear if the area with the 15-foot high ceiling is counted singly or doubly. Because if I'm not mistaken, and it's been a while, I haven't looked at that particular section, but I thought if you went over 12 feet, it doubled.
We can look into that and make sure that it's corrected if it hasn't been
Yeah.
counted.
I mean, there's a fair amount of area to work with, but I'd rather see that it's done correctly because otherwise it could be a future downstream
Mm-hmm.
challenge. And then can you remind me the criteria for the garage, the attached garage exemption? Is,
Exemption.
well, I mean, a
FAR.
variance, what constitutes a reason to request that variance?
This is the special permit for attached garage.
Mm-hmm.
well, yes, I mean, any new house with an attached garage, or if someone's attaching their garage to an existing house, triggers both design review and a special permit request.
Okay.
So it was there because a lot of the neighborhoods in Burlingame have detached garages.
Mhm.
So it was just a little bit more, another level of review to ensure that it is still compatible within that block, within the surrounding neighborhood.
Okay. And also then, one last question, sorry. The basement being 611 and a half.
There's no special permit requirement for a basement any longer. Basements, Amalia, can you remind me, basements do count in FAR up to a certain ceiling height?
Yes, so anything that's less than 7 feet does not count in FAR.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions for staff? Do we have any members of the public attending in person who wish to speak on this item? Please note that speakers are limited to 3 minutes each.
But we'll want to call up the applicant before we take public comment.
Oh,
Yep.
shoot.
That's okay.
I'm going to open the public hearing. Would the applicant please come forward and state your name and anything else you would like to add to your project?
Good evening, commissioners.
Thank
My name is Justin Alexander. I'm representing the owners, Colin Mastelli and Katie Raffinelli here tonight. I'm the architect on the project. And I just wanted to speak a little bit about our process because we did start out really looking at the existing residents and trying to provide a remodel / addition to the existing residents, and actually went through some fairly extensive sketches, design drawings, et cetera, to renovate and really apply an addition to the existing residence. We even went so far as to hire a structural engineer to look at the existing residence and determine whether or not what we were providing in the sense of sketches and changing the program and the let's just say the floor plans and elevations and sections, what would be, the structural upgrades needed, given the time in which the house was built and remodeled over, several periods of time. And it came back, that there are several portions of the house from a foundation perspective, floor framing, wall framing, that they were deficient. And we were remodeling and providing an addition extensive enough that it warranted some significant structural upgrades to a point in which, not much of the existing residence would actually be left. And so after that process, we spoke to the planning department and they hired Page Turnbull to look at the historical fabric of the existing residence and determine that it wasn't a contributing factor to the historical fabric of the neighborhood. And at that point in time, we actually decided to look at designing a new residence for the owner. And upon looking at that, what we felt was really necessary, given that it is the largest, lot on the block, and seeing that there's a single-story house to the north and a single-story house to the south, that we wanted to minimize the scale of the residence as much as possible. The two wings of the house, which are really the master bedroom wing, the kids wing, the garage, and ADU, we try to keep as skinny as feasibly possible to minimize any sort of scale relationship to the adjacent single-story houses. And it also provides 2 courtyards on either side of the family space, meaning that the family space almost acts as a pavilion and can really engage from interior to exterior in a really nice way as you're sitting within the kitchen, dining, and living. The main portion of the house, which is the kitchen, dining, and living with the higher plate height, was really to provide some differentiation to the elevation and make sure that it wasn't completely uniform along, the eave lines and provide some interest level to the residents, which is a part of the guidelines. The setback location and where the house actually sits from the street edge was determined, at least the average neighborhood setback was determined by the planning department at 55 feet. And how we created, the edge boundary line to that, the front elevation at 62 feet was determined by the heritage trees that exists at the front line of the property, and making sure that they will live on once this construction is completed. So there's additional depth there that we provided to ensure that that would be the case. We try to keep as much backyard space as feasibly possible, not only for the owners and their kids to be able to play out there, but also that there's 5 houses surrounding that backyard space. And so instead of pushing the house, to the rear yard where 5 houses would have to look upon another residence, we felt strongly that it should be more of landscaping that they're looking upon versus the actual house. And they're also elevated in grade as well. The swimming pool is located in between the 2 bedroom wings. One, it gives a level of privacy for the ownership group, but it also provides noise barrier to the neighbors as well. So the pool was located essentially in between those wings. We did, notify the neighbors because we wanted to present this project to them prior to presenting it to the Planning Commission. Many of them attended. Many of them had some questions, none of which came to anything to, let's say, revise in the sense of the design intent of the house, but it was definitely a great conversation to have, and feel like if they were here tonight, they would potentially approve the project, or give positive feedback. However, we didn't get any negative comments from them. So
Great. Thank you. Any questions for the applicant? Commissioner Tsai?
Yeah. So looking at your arborist report, I think it's tree number 3, the cedar, the northernmost cedar, I believe, is proposed to be removed. Is that correct?
correct.
So let's see, is that shown on your landscape? Oh, so it's shown dotted, so will be removed. Is there plans to replace that tree in that location?
It wouldn't be in that specific location, given that going through we actually had the entry kind of driveway loop location moved a bit farther south in between the 2 heritage trees, but it was determined that that particular cedar tree was sickly and actually potentially even providing enough shade to really make the tree to the south actually sick as well. So we're going to be removing that tree and actually moving the driveway farther north, which is illustrated in these plans. I'm not saying we're going to move it farther north, but than what's illustrated, but to ensure that that tree does survive. Just given the hardscape in between the 2 trees, we were nervous that one of them may potentially die. So given that that one's sickly, we moved it north. And so we are planning on providing additional treescape in there. It just wouldn't be in that exact location.
Okay. So I'm trying to understand, I think it's the rendering A approach from the street. Which tree is the far right tree in that rendering?
Well, the far right tree would be a new tree.
Okay, but it obviously wouldn't be that size.
Correct. We provide some of these renderings in the sense of like what the full breadth of the tree may look like, later. But yes, the far tree to the right would be a new tree.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, got it. And then I'm sorry, but it's your plans are very nice and detailed, but I'm having a hard time reading the site plan. So in this approach from the street rendering, you have these low walls, kind of leading to the driveway entrance. They're like a gate.
Correct. There's 2 vehicular.
Where is that on the site plan? Oh, that's where it says gate. Okay, so this is a view from the more southern part of the property, not in the center. think that rendering, no, that doesn't look right.
No, that would be correct.
Left,
It'd be to the far north.
way leading to the ADU. And then that's the gate that's showing in this.
Mhm.
Is that correct? And then in the front, so once you get beyond the gates, the whole front courtyard or yard area is all hardscape.
Other than where the heritage trees exist, that would all be landscaping.
Okay. And then I bet you are retaining kind of the planting beds and in the front, in front of the low walls at the front of the property.
Correct.
Let's see. Okay, I think that's my question for now.
Yeah, I have a general question. How did you, you know, obviously the way the street looks now, and while it is true that that individual home is not, didn't have the integrity to be considered significant, I do note, like many of the homes assessed in the area, it said, the report from Page Trimble always says the conclusion does not address whether 121 Pepper would qualify as a contributor to a potential historic district. That is not a historic district, but it could be. That we haven't done. So many of the homes do, and I suspect that one would have been one of them. And anyway, I did want to mention that, but how did you land upon this particular type of architecture, knowing the surroundings? I guess I want to ask that.
That's an excellent question. You know, a lot of it came down to really minimizing the scale of the residents and really trying to provide the residents almost as a backdrop to the beautiful landscaping that is provided along that street, and really providing some layering effects to that landscaping with kind of like the man-made architecture side of it. So let's say the landscaping walls, the landscaping walls, they're all a very similar material, and even providing a landscaping buffer in front of the residents as well as this kind of a layering effect of landscaping and kind of the man-made architecture of it, and trying to create something very simplistic in nature. You know, most of the residents have different styles along that entire street. And so we didn't necessarily want to align with one of those styles in particular, that we were providing a scale of a residence that would completely align with the neighborhood, but wouldn't necessarily copy exactly what is existing, because there is a tremendous amount of styles, you know, along that streetscape, which actually provides a lot of the character to the neighborhood. And so in a lot of ways, we were trying to be as simplistic as possible and not trying to be unique in any sort of way, but really almost having the house as being a backdrop to the landscaping that exists along the streetscape.
Thank you.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about the wood siding. Is it a real wood product? Is it
Currently, it would be a cedar product, and it would be let's just say a rough bandsawn texture to it, and it would be a pre-coat staining process, a transparent staining process. So you are going to see wood grain through it. It doesn't have like a white glossy look to it. Which is challenging to do in a rendering, I will admit. But you're going to see knots, you're going to see grain, you're going to see that it is actually wood, but it is stained in a transparent white stain.
okay? And how about the transitions at windows and doors? How's that going to work with the wood siding?
Very simple, let's just say 2x2 trim that wraps all the way around the windows.
Okay. And what is happening in the basement?
What is happening? In the 6 foot, 11.5 inch high space, it's all for mechanical miscellaneous storage. And then there's a a full-height basement as a portion of it that will actually be for not necessarily miscellaneous storage, but actual storage that they need for
Okay.
other items.
Any other questions?
Yeah, sorry, did have more questions. So, looking at your south elevation, I think there's like almost like a bedroom hallway that running along the whole left side of the house. Just wondering if you thought about, because there really isn't any, whoops, I just lost the screen. Isn't any eave over these windows? The plate height is as high as you're requesting. Is there any thought about some fins or some type of shade structure over some of these windows to prevent that hallway from feeling like a solarium? I'm just worried. I'm wondering about the heat that's going to be captured in that hallway.
In the south elevation. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to understand your question. Because we have eave lines on all of the
Sorry. Well,
wall plates. We do have some pop-out bay windows. Is that what you're referring to?
no, and the drawing set just disappeared off my screen.
I think it's the opposite side of that.
The
yeah.
side, the south side of the property.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, so I think it's that.
Well, where windows do exist, there would be a roof eave up above that.
But it's only sticking
But-
out of,
The kids' wing. It looks like even with your shadow, I think you have a shadow line that you're showing. It doesn't seem to be able to project any shade to those windows.
Oh, along those windows. Well, there's I guess let's say a retaining wall on the south side of the property where the other the other properties exist, and it's at a higher elevation. And there's a tremendous amount of tree coverage along the border of their properties. So I guess I personally am not concerned about the heat gain necessarily to those spaces, just given the amount of vegetation. But we're happy to
Okay.
look at it.
All right. Thank you.
I have a question about the width of the structure on such a large property. You only have 7 feet and then 8'9". So if there's a major construction project needed 10 years from now, how do you get trucks into the backyard?
Well, the FAR currently is being maximized.
I'm just talking about the distance of both sides of the house to the property line. You've created a large house that you won't be able to get trucks to the backyard to do landscaping it's a long way to use a wheelbarrow or it just seems very tight side.
You bring an excellent point up in which we hadn't thought of. If there was something extensive, obviously, let's just say a tree or something like that, it would need to be craned over, talking to neighbors, sort of.
Yeah. I was going to ask the same about vertical siding. It's a lot of vertical siding. We've seen like kind of cheap James Hardy type vertical siding that did not look good. So I was going to ask the same question. I'm glad to hear it's a natural product. And the same with the standing seam metal roof. There are high quality ones and not so high quality ones. And there's a lot of roof in this house. So what is
currently being proposed? It's zinc. It's
zinc.
handcrafted. It's about as premium of a standing seam metal roof as you can get.
So just natural zinc, not a color.
Correct.
Great. Any other questions for the applicant?
Have you engaged any contractors yet for this and looked at proposed timelines of construction?
Yes, Karen Construction will be building the project. Currently, he's slating 18 months to 24 months to build the project.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any members of the public attending in person who wish to speak on this item? Please note that speakers are limited to 3 minutes each. I'm going to close the public hearing. Thank you. Commissioners, comments? Commissioner Pfaff?
Yeah, I'm going to go. I went through our design guidelines and I haven't read them in a long time. And as far as I know, we're still using them. I'm finding a disconnect between um, the variety of homes that are there and the scale and all with this particular, I don't know if you can even call it a style. It's almost like Esherick. It's very plain, which is, there's nothing wrong with that, but there's something about it that to me looks a little bit like a compound, and layers of things blocking other parts, and also sort of a monotony in the vertical seam stuff, and the materials and the siding. I'm glad it's real wood, but it looks very closed off and not welcoming to me. And that street is, though there's so many different styles, and it mostly flows. There's something about the harmony, about the rhythm of the street. And yeah, this sits down and minds its own business, but it's also almost the opposite, that it looks like sort of a facility. And what one might find in, I don't know, in a big Napa estate or something, it doesn't participate the way the current home does. I understand and appreciate that the client, that your client looked into what they could do with the current home. Would have been wonderful, but I get you can't always save something that's there. But for me, this is too much of a departure from what is there, the tone of the street. I also wanted to read part of the guidelines that I read. If the architectural design is compatible with the neighborhood, the materials should follow. Materials should not be selected as standalone preferences, but should be the result of larger patterns. So I'm not seeing that. I'm not seeing a pattern of anything like this. So I'm having trouble with this this style, and in particular that it feels doesn't have, though it is a one-story, it's to me lacking the human scale that we always talk about here.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. Other comments? Go ahead. Yeah, Commissioner Schmid.
I would like to see that the FAR be, worked out before the next hearing. I am concerned with the height. I'm also concerned, I don't know why a 2,500 square foot mechanical basement is needed. So that seems to me just to be extra storage that's skirting the FAR. I'm in agreement. I'm not really seeing how it contextually fits within the neighborhood there. It's actually shying away from being a presence versus the other homes on that street. And not that I think it has to be exactly a storybook home like some of the others, but this is not stepping up to a unique modern either. It just, the siding doesn't do it for me. The windows aren't doing it for me. There's not a lot of detail to it. It's a big space. And I thought that, I don't disagree that it seems more Napa-ish than it does Burlingame-ish. Hard to see in the renderings that the materials are going to be high quality, because it's just not showing that way. We're just not seeing a level of detail that then communicates that the materials are going to do what you want them to do. The forward-facing garage, I'm not really liking that at all either. I know there are some in the area, and most of them are on smaller lots. But the larger lots with the bigger homes on them have detached garages in the back, or you turn the garages sideways so it's not facing the street presence. The front area where the driveway is now is a lot more organic today, and it seems to be a fairly sizable chunk of concrete, and then just cars in front. So it's not really hiding anything very well. So I'm not sure that it's adding value to the front and to the street front. Definitely would like to see more detailing on the windows. Just because right now it just looks like a punch through window and it's not doing anything for me. I agree with Commissioner Say on the sun. There's really no attempt to shade or create interest in the windows with depth. They're just there. The maximized width, same thing. I think that you've pushed the house out to the neighbors instead of leveraging what is a very sizable lot. The height really in this size of a lot wouldn't be that big of a deal. It's a bigger deal in the smaller lots where you really only have a 4-foot setback on either side. Then height becomes a challenge. Height isn't your issue here. So I think that it's maximized the lot and then pushed that much closer to each of the neighbors. So I'm just not feeling it right now that this is a value add to that lot.
Commissioner Say?
Yeah, so I'm a big fan of modern homes and modern aesthetic, and I think that what makes a a nicely designed modern home or building are creative use of volumes of space, geometry, and creative uses of vertical and horizontal elements. And I think this is where I'm struggling with this particular house. First of all, I do appreciate that the applicant tried to work with the existing home, at least investigated it, and had that surveyed. I think that's to be commended. And I don't have an issue necessarily with the height, the plate height requests, of course, if the FAR is reflected correctly. But there's something about this house, and I think when Commissioner Pfaff used the term compound, that was the first word that had entered my mind when I looked at this project, that it didn't feel like a home to me. It felt very insular. I mean, I think it's interesting to have the bedrooms all kind of look into the central yard and swimming pool area. It feels a little bit like a hotel, kind of expansion of rooms next to each other, being able to go out and enjoy the yard. And that's a nice feature. But somehow I don't find the home very inviting. It doesn't seem to relate itself much to the street and its neighbors. I find that materials can be simple, that could be fine, but I feel like there could be some added details, modern details, maybe more horizontal elements. There's a lot of verticality with the siding and choice of direction on the siding, and it's a one-story tall central part of the home, but that will accentuate height even. I too don't like that the garage is facing the street and is taking up 40% of the frontage of this of the home. There's nothing. If there was a really interestingly designed garage with some really cool elements, maybe there could be an argument for that. But just looking at two wooden garage doors doesn't really do anything for me. I mean, it's set far back. That's nice. I think that it's not going to really be noticed from the street, I think, frankly. But I'd like it to relate more to the neighborhood. And I'd like to see, for such a nice big property too, and the the intention of building a whole new home, that there's a lot of opportunity to create something really interesting from a modern perspective if they choose to move forward with a modern style. I think that courtyard, or I think the approach courtyard to the front door is kind of interesting, but again, nothing to be shared with anybody walking down the street. It's, again, very kind of internal. I feel like the whole house kind of is turning itself into itself, and nothing to be enjoyed by by the neighbors or the neighborhood. And I have a problem with that south-facing hallway of windows. I don't think the plants are going to be enough against the fence with a high sun in the summer, or in that south-facing direction. Worried about that heat gain into that hallway. So I think that there should be some attempt at looking at somehow, the eaves are not going to be close enough to the headers of those windows, but there could be some type of a horizontal element that comes from that to kind of safeguard against that sun and heat gain. But I mean, I think it's an interesting floor plan. I just think there's potential for more, and that's kind of where I stand with it right now.
Anything to add, Commissioner Lowenthal?
Yeah, a little bit conflicted because at the end of the day, contextually, you're not going to see a lot of this house. As Commissioner Say definitely said, you're going to see the front, and I think the front could probably use a little bit of work softening some of the hardscape. I think we heard some of the neighbors mention that, and I could tend to agree with that. There's a lot of hardscape at the front, and if you worked on softening, I appreciate what the architect said about layering from the street in, and I think you can go with that, but soften it even more. I think that might help. And then again, the front-facing side of the house, I think needs some help as far as moving some of these lines. The facility comment from Commissioner Pfaff is resonating with me, but I think it's because of the verticality of some of this stuff. You go from a very tight vertical siding to a tight vertical, well, vertical to horizontal, but it all lines up. I think if you could change it up with, as Commissioner said, maybe change the garage door to something really cool, carriage-like, or something that can kind of mix the modern and the traditional. On this block, the only thing I'd have to argue with certain folks that have commented is that this block is very eclectic. You have some very polarizing designs there that don't necessarily look bad, but they're certainly not, I would say, traditional Burlingame. These are very large lots, very large homes, something that's not typical in the city, and we do not see this very often, but on this block we do. So I'm all about subjectivity. People can have their own tastes, and I think the house is very thoughtfully designed and intentfully designed. So I don't think there's a whole lot I would need to see it go forward. I think my other fellow commissioners need to see more, but I think the front-facing part of the house is really where there's maybe a little bit of work can be done, and not much, just literally in facade, and then, like I said, lightening up some of the landscaping. But I'm not as negative about it as perhaps some of the other comments are. I think there's something here we can work with. The shape of the house, the use of the wings and things like that, I kind of chalk that up to subjectivity. It may not be the way I'd build it or anyone else, but I can respect the way it's being designed, and I can appreciate those aspects. So I guess what I would say is, if I'm tilting the balance, I'd be a little bit more in favor of the current design, but I wouldn't approve it as it is today. So I think there's some work that can be done.
Thank you. Yeah, I agree with many of the comments, probably leaning towards Commissioner Lowenthal. I actually like the house, but ironically, I like it for wine country as well. So I think it's just contextually, it doesn't necessarily fit the pattern of the neighborhood, even though I do agree it's an eclectic street. I have no problem with the plate height special permits. I like the center pavilion with the clear story. I think it's going to be beautiful. I think for such a large house to be single story it's both large, but it's also respectful, I think, of neighbors. So it's a nice balance. I really don't like the front-facing garage on a property this size. For a house that's really impressive, the front facade and the image it portrays to the street is, I think, underwhelming. I do agree that the fixes might not be that difficult in terms of changing the design of the garage doors, softening the hardscape. It could help. The south elevation, not only is it going to be sunny, but it's 190 feet long. I mean, it's a massively long, and it doesn't have that much articulation, bump ins and outs. So it's, even though it's not going to be seen, it's just a really long facade. The garage is 30 feet deep. So that's a really deep garage. Maybe it could be pushed even farther back from the street to give even more relief. I would love to see a mix of materials. It's a lot of vertical siding. I like vertical siding, but there's going to be probably a 1/4 mile of vertical cedar siding around the 4 sides of this house. I like zinc standing seam roof, so I think that's it's a choice that goes with this aesthetic. You know, I think I've watched 40 years of this old house, so it's a real shame that the existing house is not going to be saved. It's beautiful. It fits the fabric. It has some history. I appreciate, you know, the attempt to modernize it. I think it could be done, but obviously it's not our call on that decision. It's just a shame for Burlingame and the neighborhood to lose that house. Yeah, so, you know, I think you've heard a lot of comments. This will most likely come back for a design review, and maybe the feedback has been helpful for you to get a sense of what the commission is feeling. Any other comments before we close that? Also, just seriously, you need to get a truck into the backyard. I don't, even building the swimming pool, if you don't build it before the house is built, you're not going to build it. So it's really wide in terms of the side setbacks. Okay, do I have a motion?
Just as a reminder through the motion, I know a lot of different comments have been discussed tonight, but if you could summarize and give the clear direction to the applicant. So just kind of think about that, and other commissioners can weigh in if the motion maker forgets something, so.
Well, first off, is there a need for a consultant?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either, but I think that's the first hurdle.
I don't think so.
So then the question is, do we bring it back onto action with some of these comments?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Action?
Well, you still have an opportunity to.
It can, yeah, I mean, it can act as a design review if it's not approved, essentially.
Right, in the normal course, you would bring it back either on consent or action. If there are still some items during that discussion at the action meeting, either staff, you can write those in as conditions of approval, or if they're significant enough, you can continue the hearing and for another action meeting.
I'm not convinced. I would like to see this just again, like not, it needs, for me, it needs more, a lot more, and it's a lot. If people are absent next time, you know, that's the danger. If we're only 6 now, so anyway, but you go ahead.
So your preference is to deny?
My preference would be to continue, maybe.
Okay.
We continue it.
The option is?
So is there an option to bring it back for another study session, or we have to?
You could do that, but I mean, we encourage you to keep the project moving, because then you're at least at a minimum of 3 meetings at that point, maybe more, and we're trying to cut down on the number of meetings in terms of permit streamlining. So again, staff's recommendation would be to bring it back on action if you still want to discuss it further, and then if at that point you can continue it again.
That would be I'd be in favor of that. But. Well, I'll make
motion.
I'm willing to take the action, but I don't like the project. So.
Yeah, I think in the spirit of trying to make it move forward, I'm not looking to kill it. So unless people are vehemently opposed, I'll make a motion to bring this back on action. I'm not sure how to list all these things. I think there needs to be some attention to the siding choices. The front facade needs to be looked at, the garage, the interaction between the street and the house and the landscaping, softening some of the hardscape. The width of the property, I agree with Commissioner Haran. I'm a builder myself, and that would be very challenging on this lot. But everything can be done with money. But I agree with him. Any other notes on this thing?
You mentioned materials.
Materials,
Less compound-like, more welcoming to their surroundings, at least an effort.
Addressing the south-facing wall.
addressing the south-facing wall and the
Mhm.
shade.
Details.
More
Design details.
There's not enough here to like.
Was there also a comment?
Also, the plate height and the plate height, and what was the other thing? Oh, the attached garage. Those are the special permit things they're asking for.
Right, okay. Yeah, so the attached garage and the plate heights. I guess as part of I'd be okay with moving those into action. Are you saying, well, what was your comment on that?
Oh, no, I just wanted to remind you that we have,
Oh, yeah.
that the plate height that we are generally, I think, in approval of, that the attached garage doesn't seem to be the issue. It's more about the street-facing garage doors.
Yeah.
Was this also a comment about like shade awnings or structures or fins on windows or near windows? Was
The
that?
south-facing glass
South-facing.
shading is,
I think if there can just be a little bit more intention on the shading aspects of what's going to happen when the sun falls over this house. And then if there is plenty of foliage or trees, maybe it could be shown in some way or described a little bit better.
Well, and it'll help with depth. On these long elevations, there's no depth.
That's a fair point.
So we have a motion for action. We just need a second on that motion.
do we have a second? I can second it, right?
What's that?
Can I second
Yes.
as the chair? Okay. So we have a motion by Commissioner Lowenthal and a second by Chair Haran. Can I take a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Lowenthal,
Aye.
Commissioner Pfaff,
No,
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Acting Vice Chair Say,
Aye.
Chair Haran.
Aye, the motion passes 4-1-0-1. This action is not appealable. Thank you. I encourage you to listen to the YouTube video as well, if that motion wasn't clear enough. Agenda item number 9, staff commission reports. Are there any commissioners' reports?
Oh, got one more item before.
Oh, we have one more. Item 8D, I'm getting ahead of myself. 1315 Burlingame Avenue. Were any commissioners not able to visit the project site, or do any commissioners wish to note any ex parte communications regarding this project? Let the record note that all commissioners present have visited the project site. Can we hear the staff report, please?
This application is for major design review for exterior facade changes to an existing commercial building in the BAC zoning district. The subject site is an interior lot that contains an existing commercial building with a storefront that measures 24 feet and 10 inches in width. The tenant space is currently vacant but was formerly occupied by a jewelry store. Sprinkles, a retail cupcake bakery, will be occupying the 3,764 square foot space. In addition to remodeling the interior of the space for the new business, the applicant is proposing changes to the exterior facade of the storefront along Burlingame Ave. This concludes the staff report for 1315 Burlingame Ave. I'm available to answer any questions you may have for staff.
Any questions for staff?
Yes. I can't remember if there is a minimum width of glazing requirement.
Not for the downtown Burlingame Avenue area. There is for like mixed use projects, life science, or the larger office projects. There is a certain amount of fenestration or glazing required, but not for Burlingame Avenue.
Okay, fine, thank you.
have a question.
Yes.
I don't know if I'm just misreading in the drawings. I'm trying to understand the depth of that recess of where the front door is from the face of the building.
You want to wait for the applicant?
We could ask the applicant. I believe it's also on
I
the,
wasn't sure.
Amelia, can you go back is there I thought it's like a 2 foot 10-inch depth.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there it is.
From the property line to the storefront,
A10.
I don't know why I can't.
almost 3 feet.
Oh, okay. It's, okay. I can generally see that. Thank you.
Yeah, they're just doing the door swing.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Any other questions for staff? I'm going to open the public hearing. Would the applicant please come forward, state your name and anything else you would like to add about your project?
Oh.
Hello, can everyone hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Hi, my name is Rachel Johnson. I'm the applicant and franchisee for this Sprinkles location. I appreciate the time this evening by the commissioners. I have corporate support and the architects on the call to discuss any aspects about the project. I also, on the call is Greg Terry. He's a representative for the property owners. He's here to support and answer any technical questions as well.
Thank you. Any questions for the applicant?
I have a question. The left, well, what should I call it? Inset on the front, it almost looks like a vending machine. Is that not really quite understanding how that functions, or is that just an artistic flourish instead of glass? I'm not. Maybe she could explain what that is on the left.
What the two rectangles are in the,
Well,
Or-
the whole thing actually, is that a mesh or,
so the material of the left side of the storefront.
yeah, with the holes, thank you, with the gap.
Mhm.
What is,
So that is a cupcake. It's called a cupcake ATM. So essentially, it is like a vending machine. For the materials, I can defer to my architect or Brad for corporate support. They're on the call as well. If you want to raise your hand.
The drawing states a decorative pink powder-coated steel screen.
interesting. It's like an ATM. Thank you. My colleague has shown me some of your materials online, or someone else's. It's yours. I got it. Yeah, I think now I understand. Thank you very much.
But then I have a follow-up.
Yeah, go.
I understand that the ATM is set back about the same depth as the doorway, which helps quite a bit from the rendering. But can you actually see through the holes of the pink screen into the store, or is the glass behind it going to be opaque?
I believe. Brad, are you able to answer that question? Are you on?
Yes, it just allowed me as a panelist. Sorry for the delay. My name's Brad Killian. I'm the Director of Construction for Sprinkles Corporate. And to answer your question, no, you will not be able to see in. We use that as a decorative screen. It's at 99% of our locations, these cupcake ATMs. It's a big part of our brand. But to answer your question, no, absolutely not. You would not be able to see in the back of house at all there.
Okay.
Any other questions, Commissioner?
Is the front sprinkle sign lit up, illuminated?
We would be hopeful we'd be able to get that as an illuminated signage.
Thank you.
Can you explain where your awning specifically is? Is it right above the pair of glass doors shown in gray in your rendering?
We have our architect on. I don't know if he's able to comment. I know an awning was a topic at one point. We have presented the committee or some early versions, if you will, and I believe the awning has been pulled off of that.
I'm sorry, the awning is what off?
Has been pulled off of the scope of the project, I believe.
Do you know the reason why?
I don't. If that's something the committee would like to see, we could absolutely, it'd be a minor design element. Looks like Woody has joined. So he's able to comment as well.
Hello, I'm Woody with Genick Architecture Studio, and I can help answer to the awning. But basically, if you look to the left of the front facade elevation, there's a small section to try to help explain what that is. We added that element after our preliminary review discussions to add a little bit more interest. So basically, we're just replacing the interior recessed portion with storefront glass, and that's a bronze finish storefront system. And that element of awning we added for the review to add a little bit more interest. So it's just, it's tube steel going across and down, kind of framing the front entryway. And then we added some of that screen element to the sides of that as well. That is the same screening element that covers the Cupcake ATM machine. And it sets back about, that is about a 3-foot recess, and it sticks out about 2 feet. So it's not proud of the entire front facade. And it's basically a frame, just a frame structure with additional screening on the sides that, to create like a little bit of a recessed portal to the front doors, even though that's all on the same plane of the storefront. So that if that explains what that is or helps, hopefully.
So it's not really an awning by the traditional sense. It's
more of a trellis, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Just to add, because it's all recessed and it has an overhang above already, so it's really just an aesthetic. It's not serving a functional purpose.
Yeah.
So no weather protection really or anything over the front doors, other than it's the recessed part, that 2'10", whatever it might be.
Correct. It's 3 feet. It was originally recessed about 5 feet. We brought out the new storefront 2 feet to help make the lobby. It just has to do with functionality of their lobby and kitchen area. A lot of that square footage is on a mezzanine. They don't really even need the commercial kitchens on the ground floor. So it sits back. The doors sit back about 5 feet now, and we're proposing 3 feet. So it would have a 3-foot overhang over those doors.
Mm-hmm.
The existing overhang, yeah.
I just have one more question. Did you consider on that middle, guess our clerestory? I guess they function as that. To the middle one, which has no divider, no, way up at the top. Yeah. So you've got the 2 on the sides, which have been divided in half, which is nice. Did you consider in that middle one to kind of put one in the middle so it has some reference to the past? Not necessarily the one above the door, but the one below Sprinkles. So you have then 6 windows rather than 5. Did you consider that?
Just breaking up, adding another mulligan is in the middle.
Yes.
Is that?
That's
We could, yeah, we could do that.
So overall, you have increased the amount of glazing from the existing
Yes.
vastly, right?
Yes. They just had those, like, there were like just two windows that they had like extended sills. I'm assuming for display. I'm not exactly sure how they were used previously, but
Mm-hmm. Right.
This used to be an absolutely gorgeous building 100 years ago. Gorgeous. Been changed many times.
Any other
Yeah.
questions for the applicant? Okay, thank you. Do we have any members of the public attending in person who wish to speak on this item? Please note that speakers are limited to 3 minutes each. Seeing none, I'm going to close the public hearing. Commissioners, comments?
You want me to go? You go. You go. Well, I think it's exciting to have a new use there. Love the idea of having it lit and fun and happy. And it's a little different with the ATM, but that's your gig. So I would ask, I mean, me personally, I think there needs to be some kind of, we work hard to, I think, even though they have lost a lot of integrity, these buildings, to kind of bring it back to what it could have been once. I think it would be real nice to put a divider or whatever, molding, whatever you want to call it, down the middle so that you have the 6 nice lights, looks a little Art Deco-ish maybe, kind of pull it all together. I would find it would pull it together nicely. And I don't actually even personally don't think that I would need the divider in the right-hand side, but maybe there's some structural issue that the reason that it's there. So anyway, that's all I wanted to say.
Any other comments, Commissioner Fay?
Yeah, I just wanted to, I guess, form my comments to address staff's questions. Staff had some comments for us to consider. One was, should any of the existing storefront architectural features be retained and incorporated into the new storefront facade design? In this particular case, I would say no. The previous use, as a jewelry store, certainly makes sense for the smaller extent of windows, smaller size windows to display and feature jewelry inside. And this would be vastly more open approach and visibility into the Sprinkles store, a little bit more inviting, more modern, more fun, like Commissioner Pfaff said. I like the cupcake ATM. I'm going to try using that. I've never had a cupcake come out from ATM before. So I think that I don't see that we should have any older traditional details from the previous storefront carry over into this new storefront. And then should branding colors be used for the entire storefront facade, or should a neutral color be used with brand colors limited to the signage, or some combination of the two? I kind of went up and down Burlingame Avenue and took a look at other retail stores, and starting with Baskin Robbins, which is all colored in pink and blue, and down to, we have Sephora in black and white tile. We have many examples where corporate colors are included in the storefront from top to bottom. The Sprinkles corporate color of the kind of a chocolatey brown color. Well, I think that's the color name, actually, chocolate. I think is considered a neutral in and of itself. And I like the little highlight of the soft pink, which immediately kind of registers cupcakes and frosting and what I know of Sprinkles cupcakes anyway. And so I don't see any issue with that. We have many examples along Burlingame Ave where we have the incorporation of corporate colors or materials and details into retail storefronts. So I think that would be in alignment.
Thank you for addressing both of those.
But I have a comment.
Yeah.
That I understand the corporate look. I understand the elevation completely, but there is just a little bit of edge detailing around the top of that facade that currently is olive colored, maybe. And it's not a big deal, but it's there. And it may just be that it gets painted, and it might get painted the chocolate brown, but it has a little bit of relief as you define this particular building, because I went and looked at this to see if it was part of a bigger building, but really this particular facade stands on its own. And so there is an opportunity there. I don't know that it's a deal breaker. I just think it's an opportunity for the tenant.
That,
I mean,
depth.
Yes.
to keep the,
Yeah.
Otherwise, it will look like a flat
Yeah.
facade, really what the rendering looks like.
Yeah, I'm
Mhm.
hard reading the rendering,
Yes.
actually. It'd be nice if it was more three-dimensional or at an angle to really get the feeling of the depth.
Well, because I appreciate the fact that the ATM is actually recessed until just 10 minutes ago when I was looking at the plan again, then I realized it was actually setting back.
Mhm.
The elevation itself is not doing it any justice.
Right.
too straight.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. A motion? Consent with the comments or action?
Can I make sure that they got the, do you agree about the window, the clerestory being,
I think they already agreed to the
yeah, okay.
suggestion. You,
Mm-hmm,
yeah.
Add that to the motion.
mm-hmm.
I'll make a motion that we bring it back on consent. Our feedback being the mullion in the center window above the door and just a consideration of the existing building trim at the top of the potential integration into the design.
And I'd like, for just clarification purposes, to see a rendering that's actually in 3D from some kind of side angle, so we understand the depths of every plane.
Clarification on the mullion, it's to the top.
The upper pane.
Above the pink awning, yeah.
Yeah.
That's correct. Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second, oh,
I'll second it.
Okay. I have a motion by Commissioner Schmid, a second by Commissioner Lowenthal. Any discussion? Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Lowenthal,
Aye.
Commissioner Pfaff,
Aye.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Aye.
Acting Vice Chair Say,
aye.
Chair Haran.
Aye, the motion passes 5001. This action is not appealable. Okay, now, agenda item number 9, commissioner reports. Are there any commissioner reports? Seeing none, staff, do you have anything else to share?
We do not this evening.
Okay, the meeting is adjourned at 8:43.
Thank you.